Hello and welcome to Age of Mythology. Yes, I'm playing the extended editions, not the traditional original Age of Mythology, because, well, I could install the original game discs immediately in like 5 seconds. In fact, I could damn well do that. But because a lot of people are not entirely well versed in Age of Mythology, I just wanted to probably start off with the extended edition. Now, this extended edition is obviously a little bit newer than the original traditional one that I grew up with. Um, there are a couple of tweaks in between. Now, yes, if you're asking, I do have the expansion pack for the Chinese gods, but I don't necessarily like the expansion pack for that. Really, because the music is a little bit off. The campaign in that is also a bit meh, so I don't bother to have it active. And I also like the layout of this screen a lot better. Just a personal preference and opinion, really. And yeah, I thought, you know what? Considering Age of Mythology Retold is just only about to come out as of September 3rd, it's going to be released in September 5th if you're in Australia, September 4th if you're in America um, and Europe. So for me, it'll be basically about September 5th, I think, when it's done and prepared.
Herr Joe's? Bougie.
And I thought,
Ex-nose.
actually, I'm not going to play it on this map. Let's not play this map. I want to do an actual like big battle map. Now, I have consistently played Age of Mythology since I was about 6 years of age, so I'm quite familiar with a lot of the maps and very familiar with a lot of the changes that they've made here and there, especially with the music and soundtrack. Now, obviously, this is the original soundtracks um, overall. Now, funny thing is, what faction do I main? Is a big question that I don't really know how to answer because I have played this game for upwards of like, wow, literally almost about like 18, 19 years in total. It's basically almost as long as this game has existed. And I have to say that I actually, I do play as Egypt Isis, and I do somewhat play as Hades and somewhat play as Poseidon. I don't really play Zeus that much. I will often play Zeus mostly for Medusa, but sometimes I will swap between. But anyway, as for Norse, I normally will play Loki. I normally play Loki. Um, with the Atlanteans, I play as Gaia. I play as Gaia. Sometimes I will play as Kronos. Now you're probably asking me, why do I play as Gaia instead of Uranus? Basically, I play as I play as Gaia basically for the economy boost that Gaia has. Now, often I would play as Uranus, or I would basically end up playing with Kronos. It depends upon like the map and the style of gameplay that I want because like Prometheus is actually really decent. A lot of people think Prometheus is freaking meh in Age of Mythology. he's not that bad considering Oceana or Oceanus, depending upon how you want to pronounce him. It's he's got healing units, yeah, okay, but no one's gonna really use that 90% of the time. And Hyperion, some people do use that for chaos, but other people go over to Taya, and some people will often use Helios. Now, what I normally do in my gameplays is if I'm playing for a map that has a lot of naval units involved in the game, what I will do is I will prioritize Uranus, go straight to Oceanus, go down into Hyperion, and then I will go right into Helios and just go straight through naval. Because ironically, the Atlanteans have a pretty damn strong naval capacity and a pretty damn strong naval set of myth units. And if I want to play as a bit of a more rounded faction, I will probably end up playing with Gaia or Kronos. It really depends on my play style. I'm not really too into the destruction of town buildings and towers and here and there. Well, actually, I should say towers because you can't really destroy town centers with the destruction. But time shift is also really, really good. But I've never really found any use to really use it that often. I'm not the most greatest at players when it comes to Age of Mythology. I mean, I played it for a long damn time throughout my entire life, but I can't say that I'm entirely competitive when it comes to Age of Mythology. I'm more of a casual player. I've always really been a casual player. I just like Age of Mythology for the fact that it's got, you know, history, Greeks, Egyptians, Norse, and
Scopus.
obviously a bit of a mixed blend of them
Also,
all with the
it's
Atlanteans
lost.
having a
Scopus.
mix of their languages, but
Also,
also being
Scopus?
somewhat somewhat like non-fictional, really, with all their bits and pieces added in. I mean, the mythology of Atlantis is actually really interesting and intriguing. But in general, the play styles with all the gods and everything here and there, it's quite fun. So, because we're on a non-ocean map, everything that I'm going to do is just based on economy. Obviously, I'm playing on deathmatch because, you know, I just want to play the original before I start playing the well, I should say I want to play the Steam release version because the original is actually the ones that are the physical copy discs that I still own. It's just that it's a bit of a pain to get the physical disc copy working because of you know, Microsoft having update things with computers and iOS moving around and freaking them getting rid of certain support parameters for older games, which does suck. And I'm also really, really happy that in the retold version they're actually redesigning the god portraits, because I have to say some of these god portraits have never really, you know, appealed to me, the likenesses of the gods that they've tried to envision. I think Atlas is probably the only one that's actually really depicted the minor god selection for Atlantis. And some of the others, but yeah, never really found the goddess that does the Tartar escape to be really anything like how she's resembled in mythology.
Also.
And I do have one picky note, is that with watching Retold's pre-order gameplay footage, Gaia's imagining into this kind of like dryad mother figure is a bit of a strange approach.
It's lost.
Like, I get the idea that obviously Gaia's supposed to be the embodiment of Earth, nature, and all that, but I still actually really adore the human depiction of Gaia, but also being kind of enthralled in nature itself rather than specifically literally being the nature itself. Now, obviously with like all the other gods like Poseidon and all that, they're not going to change, but there's some minor gods in particular that do, obviously. I think it's Hathor that has been changed over to Sobek now, which makes a little bit more sense. And yeah, a lot of the Egyptian gods in particular, obviously, Pat doesn't look like he should do in mythology. But in the retold, he actually looks better. More as he's meant to be depicted. Like, I've always loved Age of Mythology as a game. Obviously, it does have a lot of loose ends on how it does its historical accuracy. This game was never really intended to be historically accurate per se, obviously, because it is a video game. But the depictions of the gods, at least in the minor category, were not really entirely all there. As well as Kronos. Kronos was never depicted as some lava creature at all, even in Retold. Kronos is just typically just a human with like the ability to look through time and stuff like that. Oh yeah, and just want to say, I don't know particularly how many people have actually done the Champion Destroyer spam, because whenever I play Atlanteans, I've always found that turning all the Champion Destroyers into heroes seems to rightfully make a pain in the ass of a battle to verse against in multiplayer and all sorts of other things, because I've always found that the Atlanteans have always been overpowered, like quite so overpowered in their inventory, especially when you have hero units you can just do this with. And I always found that particularly that the strongest infantry unit, particularly with the Atlanteans, that I have found is that it's the destroyers when they're turned into hero units, because they just get so much of a damage, so much of a armor increase that they become impervious to a lot of enemies, and they can just not outgun them, so they can basically outstrength them just on their sheer armor increase alone. It's quite insane. And I mean, like, you can just keep building these and keep building these and keep building these. And yes, I'm not using the auto repeat button because I'm stupid like that. Do I ever use the Guardian of Io, or I think is it the Argus? I think the Argus might be a ship, but I don't believe. Yeah, I remember. I swear to God that these used to be called Argus. They were never called. I don't remember them ever being called the Guardian of Io. Yeah, it literally depicts them down here as Argus, because I've always remembered them as being called Argus. Always remembered them as being called Argus. Because every single time when you go to the editor for the in-game thing, you look for Argus, and you spawn these in, and I remember them being called Argus in the traditional disc physical copy. I think they called them the Guardian of Io specifically because it made a little bit more sense mythological-wise. But yeah, these used to be called Argus. And I do know that in Retold, I think they're renaming a lot of other units that are particularly were once named like I believe that the Norse Ulfskar, the guys with the wolf or bear head, have now been called berserkers,
Yuji Ishlost.
which is a bit of a interesting nod
Yuji. Dilu Smoke.
to I think that Vikings TV show or something.
Dilu Smoke.
Now, I have to say, I'm not particularly certain on the idea of them confining in the idea of you having multiple god power usages for everything. And a lot of people seem to be having a bit of a disdain between the idea of Atlanteans now having oracles as a way of gaining power, favor rather than town centers. Now, the reason why I'm not particularly so adverse to it is because, particularly from playing this game for so long, Greece has always been the powerhouse when it came to gaining favor really damn quickly, because Greece could just pile up a heap of villagers on their temples and just gain favor like a nutcase. Instant, like, get like 20, 30 odd like villagers, pop them on a temple, have them praying, and they would just gain favor insanely quickly. And I've never had a problem with the idea for Reforged going through the not very Reforged, sorry, Retold going through the idea of changing up how favor works with Atlantis, because I've always found that Atlantis gaining favor through town centers is a bit of an iffy, because I don't really prioritize town centers that much. I'm more of the battle involvement types. I just throw my fucking army straight into battle. Obviously, I will gain town centers, but I obviously want to destroy every thing around me before I gain town centers. Particularly, I go to areas that are always populated with enemies and try to basically just destroy them first. And if you're wondering, yeah, like, I am typically a veteran, but I can't say that I'm well versed in like competitive gameplay for this game. I'm terribly casual. Like, if you put me in a competitive game, my ass will get whooped in 5 minutes. But yeah, so basically, there's nothing really to bring home with the extended version of Age of Mythology, really. And I know there are people that, you know, they don't really have access to Age of Mythology's original discs. And I mean, like, I wouldn't really say that, you know, going out of your way to buy the original copy discs would be all that needed, because I mean, I bought the extended edition solely because I wanted to play multiplayer with people. But as I've found out majority through time is that the player base for multiplayer is not as extensive as it used to be. And a lot of the multiplayer servers in the original game have shut down. And I'm finding that with Retold, I'm hoping, because they're going to bring it for the first time ever to console and cross-platform, gameplays are going to happen between people that play on PC and consoles and all that stuff. I am very, very, very curious to see how much players are going to go in and, you know, participate in keeping the player base and all that alive for this game. Because, I mean, this game's always been, like, very cherished for me, and it's always been, like, extremely let down by, you know, just the sheer lack of players that would involve themselves in this game, because obviously Warcraft 3, the game that I've been playing for so long and so many years, obviously tramples Age of Mythology in every way when it comes to story and gameplay. But obviously you can't really compare the two of them, because Age of Mythology is a completely different version of how Warcraft 3 works, but I always come back to Age of Mythology every so often because I love the damn game. And yes, Warcraft I do have a soft spot for. I go back to that also every so often because of the campaign. I can't say that I particularly relish the game's campaign for Age of Mythology to the extent that I do with Warcraft. Because I have to say that Age of Mythology's campaign, it's very centered around, like, particularly from, well, obviously you're going through Arcantus' aspect. I do like the idea that the campaign is, like, they even have a campaign for this game. It's just that I don't treat the game's campaign as typically overstepping Warcraft 3. A lot of people will tell you that, you know, Age of Mythology has the best campaign of any other RTS, but particularly what I think they mean to say is Age of Mythology has the best campaign in Age of Empires franchise. Its campaign is particularly not the greatest in terms of Warcraft standards. Mind you, the editor in Warcraft has always overshined the editor in Age of Mythology. Extremely so. And those two games, they're not even that old. Like, they're only about a couple months apart. Age of Mythology and Warcraft 3. And yes, I'm just, you know, I'm letting myself just get caved in because I don't really care. It's not about me winning, it's about me just simply, you know, playing the game and enjoying the game for what it is, because I will eventually go over to play, you know, Retold. And the extended edition is basically one of those, like, last hurrahs that I get for, the classical experience with playing in multiplayer, but I'm also playing against AI. And, yes, I will say, Age of Mythology Extended Edition, let's not try to have a stroke now. Age of Mythology's Extended Edition actually does have different tweaks to variants of units and armor types, HP, all that stuff. So it's not traditionally classic. It's more so improved a bit of how classic used to work. Because yes, in classic Age of Mythology, there were things that needed nerfing and things that needed buffing. And things that just really were terrible, like the trolls in the Norse never really had much of a damage output. They were kind of crap, really. And I mean, I'm not going to go out of my way just to play the original discs and, you know, to like just to play the original like discs to give you the authentic this, because the extended edition does it for me. Because it still has the traditional soundtrack, traditional gameplay styles. It doesn't really matter to me if they've upgraded bits of HP and patched a bit of things here and there. They haven't really broken what used to be in the original game. Apart from some instances in campaign cutscenes with clipping through objects in some particular cutscenes, like being on those boats. It's one particular thing I find. I have never seen in my entire life a Cyclops manhandle an elephant and throw it. Literally, I've never seen that before. Probably because I barely spam elephants.
Garrett, into you.
Now, these used to be called war elephant. They call them heavy elephants now. Or, well, they're typically called war elephants. Then you got champion elephants, heavy elephants.
Garrett.
Yeah, but it used to be called war elephant. I'm pretty damn sure. Some things they definitely have changed in the naming convention of this game, and some things they haven't. What does concern me is that the Wonder Age in Retold might lead itself to levels of chaos that I am not entirely too ready for, because I'm very picky. I'm very damn picky. I like the idea that the Wonder Age exists, Because, I mean, originally there was not much reason to really build a wonder at all, apart from if you wanted to get an early win
In which
rather than a conquest win. But apart from that, I just found that the wonder in game was not really worth building. But if the wonder now is going to be this thing where it gives you the ability to have like an increased economy versus, I think it was the ability to make 3 titans after, I guess the 3 titans die after about 10 minutes, I believe.
Here at you.
I always just, find that interesting. And I mean, there are certain cheats that, Age of Mythology's Extended Edition has that the previous game doesn't have. For example, Titanic. It's one thing that I've never, ever seen in Age of Mythology ever being used. And it's a particular thing for, I believe, Extended Edition. Because it allows Titans to walk on water. And that's always been my main issue with Age of Mythology with Titans. When you're playing on a water map and you put down a Titan, you can't really use your Titan because it can't go across the water, which is stupid because, I mean, it's like a 50-foot colossus. Surely it could just walk over the water. Also, I have to say, there are very few people who play this game in the high fidelity graphics, which is something that does make me a little bit picky when people make like videos of Age of Mythology in when they they're like showing off Age of Mythology. They put it in the really like low end graphics, which I think is not even a setting anymore in here. Because initially there was a setting in here that was basically like a high to low end like graphic feature that you just like you would turn on and turn off in here, and it was it would make everything look like it was a potato, like you're playing with Play-Doh. And I remember it being in the original settings of the original game that you used to like toggle on and off, and would just make everything look really bad. And this is what the high-end graphics have always looked like from the get-go. Especially when you're in cutscenes, they actually look like the cutscenes for Arcantus and the main cast of characters are all in high poly, and then they go into this traditional kind of low poly textured look. Now, if you're wondering in particular what particular Titan was better off as a Titan to choose, I would have to say it was sort of Cerberus. Because there's certain animation differences between each of the Titans, and a lot of them seem to be varying in their responsiveness. That I think a lot of people used to just, when the Titans would get together in a big brawl, people would just spam click them to cycle through their animations really, really damn quickly. But yeah, I mean, Age of Mythology has always been a game that's been very dear to my heart, and I'm looking forward to playing the retold version. I'm not really interested in doing a, well, I can't be bothered to buy the pre-order version when it's literally 2 days before its release. And I might play the entire game campaign through start to finish if you want. Because, I mean, like, I played the entire game before on, like, the original copy discs that I own. My brother used to own the collector's edition, so I have, like, the whole original soundtrack, the making of DVD. I've got the original Titans expansion pack, all that stuff. And, yeah, I know that a lot of that stuff is already on YouTube, like the original game and all that stuff, so a lot of people are already well aware of what the original game used to look like. And all that stuff. But, yeah, I think if anyone really wants me to play the actual pure original Age of Mythology, just like ask, because I definitely can do that. Because for me, the way I see it, when Retold's released, the online community for Extended Edition will probably be extremely dead because they will all go over to Retold, which I think majority seem to already be doing that because I mean, normally you have heaps and heaps of people in this thing, and I've not really ever really done ranked. I mean, I did try ranked this morning, and then I realized it was too sorry late in the middle of the night, and like about 12 o'clock, and I'm like, you know what, I need to get some sleep. I'm not going to bother playing ranked, so I basically just forfeited in Supremacy and let this guy take the win. And I've literally never played a proper ranked game ever in Age of Mythology. I've just mainly played with people in like custom games and stuff like that, tiny maps, which I hear is now an actual official game map in Retold, which I'm excited that they've actually put that in. And I'm also very excited to see what game modes they have for Age of Mythology Retold. I do hope that they expand the roster of gods for the game because, I mean, they give you, what's it called, Freyr in the Norse, which gives you 4 Norse gods. I really want them to expand upon the Norse, Egyptian, sorry, the Atlantean, Egyptian, and Greek gods, and even the Chinese gods, to give them an extra like 4th god. Because like I don't feel like there's much in the way of Atlantean like gods that you can like really choose from. Maybe something that kind of mix matches and melds different things that have not previously been done with the Atlanteans. As apart from Greece, I don't know what else they could possibly do with the Greek god area. They could try and make a mixed blend of like Atlantean and Greek gods for a 4th mix. I don't know. They'll have to figure it out. But I'm very curious to see what they're going to do with the retail game. Very damn curious. I'm hoping to God that they give us an option to have the original voice actors for Age of Mythology retold, because I can't justify Age of Mythology retold's campaign when the voice acting for the new uh, retold is just it doesn't hit the mark. It just doesn't hit the mark. I get that the game is supposed to be really old, and a lot of people don't like playing really old games, but I do because I'm typically of that era which grew up with games that are really damn old now. And I just find that the voice acting in the retold is just atrocious. I'm sorry, it's not up to scratch. Golgorentis sounds like a dope, considering he used to sound like an absolute elegant, like English posh man who would walk around and recite you poetry before he ripped your head off. He always felt really menacing and really threatening, and I think they should really just have not bothered with revamping the voice actors because they made it worse. I mean, Amanra's character in the original voice actor for Amanra did a superb job with bringing in her characters like rage and anger and tone in certain aspects. And I really liked that voice actor's go at it because that's like it was a it was a really good character, and I just feel like the retold voice actor lineup that they tried is just they're not up to par. They're just not up to par. I really don't feel like they're really up to scratch. I mean, they brought back Arcantos' original voice actor, and I do have to say that it just doesn't make any sense why they revamped the entire voice acting lineup at all. Even Athena. Athena's voice actor is a bit jarring in Retold compared to the original. The Greek accents that they tried to put, I can tell the reason why they've gone and done it, but it just Age of Mythology is not a game that really took itself seriously. Age of Mythology is a game that basically knew what it was in its roots, and it wasn't stretching itself in authenticity and historical accuracy. It was stretching itself more so in the fun aspect, which is why all the minor gods look so weird in the original. And yeah, I have to say the extended edition is not purely original. It's basically an enhanced version of the original. Originally, people used to call this the remastered version, which by no way in any hell is it actually remastered. It's basically just give it another bit of an HD quality touch up with a bit more resolution and a day-night cycle with a Titan on-off switch. That's about it. And a couple of amps to the unit improvement, attack and hit points and armor here and there, with a couple of small new additions and a couple of renaming conventions here and there, which I wasn't too fond of. Because Argus is always going to be Argus to me, not the Guardian of Io. Actually, I will swear to God, I will bring up the editor right now and I will show you, because I'm damn sure that the Argus is still going to be called Argus in the editor, unless it's okay. We're not Argus. See, that's how I always remember Argus being called Argus, because this is what it used to be called originally in the traditional physical copy of Age of Mythology, because it was always Argus from the editor. I like to actually see how the editor is in Retold, because I really want them to make much more of a Warcraft version of Warcraft version of the editor, because I mean, yeah, the editor's all right here and there, but I just feel like it's a bit annoying having to scroll down through a list of names without having a search bar that you can just type in. It really is, especially like the setup in which they've tried and made. It just, I would prefer they had icons for everything, because I mean nowadays it's kind of hard to obviously this box actually used to have the actual icon of the thing as you click over it, but nowadays it just looks awkward as hell. It's not even fully like coming up. It's just, I don't know what they've gone and done. So yeah, I do hope that they really consider revamping the editor.